to me!
Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome back to another super episode of Versus Gaming, a gaming show where we talk about the latest news in the world of gaming, plus go into some insight into what it all could mean. As always, I'm your host, Jean-Luque Zephir, and joining me today we have returning guest host, Steve Jones. Welcome back to the show, Steve.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. The news never stops, guys, and we have so much to dive into, so let's get started. Steve, Sony isn't going to E3 next year. What's up with that?
A lot of stuff we could deconstruct on that. My main thing is, though, we are in 2018. We have things like Twitter, we have Twitch, we have YouTube, Reddit, everything else like that. When these expos started, like 20-some years ago, we didn't have that kind of social media. And I think Sony's realizing we don't need to invest $1 million some into an expo show anymore when we can just put it out on social media when we want, at our terms, everything else. I mean, we've seen Nintendo do their treehouse thing and everything before, and I think Sony's going to start going that route, doing their own thing.
No, absolutely. Because I mean, we've seen also because Nintendo also hasn't really been doing E3. They've been doing their Nintendo Direct, and they've been having a lot of success because we've been seeing a pattern of leaks. Each year, the leaks are getting worse and worse and worse to the point where you already know what's going to happen at E3 before E3 even gets started.
There might be one or two surprises, but
Cyberpunk being one of them.
90% of the stuff, a lot of times we know what's going to be going down, almost beat for beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think Sony has thought of like, hey, you know, maybe we don't want to run the risk of disappointing if we only have a limited margin of games, and let's just do a Nintendo Direct and expand on those. Because it can still be enjoyable, because I hear a lot of people talk about, you know, we want to see the games, the content, what are you bringing to the table? And over the years, I think Nintendo Direct has become more popular as a result of that. And obviously, we can kind of see that, hey, you know, these consoles are kind of on their way out the door. So it kind of makes sense for, you know, Sony to not go. I mean, Microsoft is clearly, you know, gonna be there.
Yeah.
But I think it seems like, you know, E3 might be, you know, becoming irrelevant. Like,
yeah, I think we might hit the nice 25-year anniversary mark. I think we're at 23 now, and then I kind of think we'll see it kind of fade off into obscurity.
Yeah, no, I can kind of imagine. Sony may not be making an appearance at E3 in 2019, but Microsoft surely will. However, we just had an E3 not long ago, where Microsoft announced a new Halo and Gears game. Unfortunately, Microsoft did not have a lot of exclusive games come out this year. Sony had Spider-Man, Persona 5, God of War, Detroit Become Human, and Yakuza 6 all drop this year. What happened on Microsoft's end this year?
I think they realize they're not going to be winning this generation no matter what they do. So if you look in the news, Microsoft's been gobbling up all these little developers and everything else. When you own 30, 40 developers, you're going to have nothing but exclusives at this point. So I think they're kind of setting the stage, getting their ducks all in a row for the next generation console.
Yeah, you know, I think it's kind of strange too, because I mean, this entire console generation, Sony hasn't had anything to worry about. Microsoft's been constantly playing catch up in a way. And you remember, like, they had a great E3. Like, I thought they won E3
Yeah, it was
this year.
a really good E3 for them.
Yeah, but they just had nothing to follow up. I mean, we've seen that we had the original Xbox One, we had the Xbox One S, and we had the Xbox One X. But they haven't really been going anywhere. Like, there hasn't been anything to attract, you know, new audiences.
You've got the hardware, but nothing to put on it.
Yeah. So it's just so ironic because they're talking about, like, they have all this good stuff coming. And, you know, then it always comes back to, like, Gears or Halo that kind of keep them relevant. Because a lot of stuff is more of the AAA, you know, third-party titles that, you know, everyone has, including Sony. So, like, I'm just not sure, like, where they're trying to go. It does seem like they've kind of given up this generation.
Yeah, I mean, Scalebound fell apart. I was looking forward to that one a lot. You know, we talked probably about 20 minutes on just all that internal conflict with that. Crackdown 3 has had nothing but delay after delay after delay. They don't have anything to put out this year. I think they realized with Crackdown 3 getting another one just in delay and everything, it's like we're done. Let's just focus on the forward and everything else. So,
yeah, it makes sense.
And we have all these rumors in 2020. Something else is coming from both Sony and most likely Microsoft. And if Microsoft gets out the door first, especially with all these new developers, they have all these new exclusives. I think they might get that foothold in the door to try and take back the lead.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I really want to see the console war heat up. Nintendo Switch console made a huge impact this year as games like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, along with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, were enough to make gamers go out and buy a Nintendo Switch. It also was the most popular console to grab this holiday season. How do you think Nintendo did this year, Steve?
They've done very well this year. Just the Switch alone has just blown off the shelves. And now we've got going into the Christmas season, we've got Smash. So if you didn't have a console already, that's going to probably sell it.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing it, and a lot of people, obviously, we just had Smash come out. So that's a system seller in itself. A lot of people were coming out, Smash around the corner, so I came to pick me up a console. But also, it seems like this is what Nintendo has been wanting to do with the Switch, be able to go play it at home, be able to take it with you to wherever you're going. They tried to do that with the Wii U, but it didn't really pan out because no one knew the Wii U existed. But I thought the Nintendo Switch had a lot of great games come out this year, especially with Pikachu. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and also Smash. They're really hitting hard, especially with the games. Like, a lot of people are excited for it. Like, where do you think it's gaining a lot of that excitement from?
Well, I think this console with Nintendo 2 has opened itself up a lot more now that the third-party developers and everything are saying this system's actually going to work. Because I know that was a big question when the Switch first came out. Really, do we want to put it on this little portable thing? It's not as powerful and everything else. But we're getting the other third-party stuff. We've got Bayonetta. We've got Warframe just came out on it too. Look at the size of that game as an MMO kind of online, everything else. So I think more developers are gravitating towards the system now. So I think it's going to help definitely improve already. And it's not all Nintendo-based products now. We're seeing these other developers going into it.
Yeah, and I've been noticing. Dragon Ball FighterZ, obviously, with Fortnite, huge game. You've been seeing a lot of, faith a lot of people are putting in the Nintendo Switch. And it's been really doing a lot. Honestly, it really surprised me because, obviously people are going to gear to Mario Kart 8 and Smash, but it's getting such widespread appeal. Like, I don't see any sign of it stopping. Like, because I've had a few people who were worried, like, I don't know, is Nintendo going to release a new console later on? What are they doing with this system? But they've had hard-hitting game after hard-hitting game. Couldn't go farther than Legend of Zelda that won, Game of the Year last year. So it seems that, this console just took them to an entirely new level that they are.
I think we'll still see 18 versions of the Switch because we've got 18 different versions of the Game Boy and everything else.
3DS.
And all that, so I think we'll still see kind of different versions, iterations of the Switch over its lifetime. We might get a Switch XL or something with a better battery life, other stuff like that. So I think the only thing that Switch really has that may hold it back is just their online communications.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Everything with the chat feature. If they can improve that over the next year or two, I definitely think that they could start being a better. They won't just be the side one with Sony and Microsoft anymore. I think they'll actually get back.
Oh yeah, they have a really strong online allure that brings a lot of players in. People are going to jump on it because obviously online is huge, without question. So if they upgrade on that and they bring a lot of new players in, then I would say they're a force to be reckoned with. Remember, let the game sell your console. It's cool to throw in and take advantage of the special features that PlayStation, Xbox, and the Switch have, but the games matter, and 2019 is looking to be huge. For this episode of Versus Gaming, we're going to review Marvel's Spider-Man for the PS4. We've seen and played superhero games before, but very few do we remember having such widespread appeal, one of which was Batman the Arkham Trilogy. Steve, what were your first impressions of playing Spider-Man, and especially when you had the chance to see it get revealed?
I definitely, you say Arkham, this is definitely a game that has a lot of backing from that game in terms of where the developers came from and how they wanted to set this up. I mean, from the minute you start swinging through there and you look at your gadgets and just the fight mechanics and everything else, it is like this is an Arkham-style game. I mean, we've had some other games, especially from Warner Brothers with Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War, and all those. You can see that has gotten into more games outside of that. So, but you can definitely see that love letter in there from those games into this one too. Even though it's Marvel and DC and everything else, but you can definitely see that there was some stuff from that.
Yeah, it's almost like it's ingrained in the very DNA of Spider-Man. You know, because we've seen, you know, Batman, just the sound of when Spider-Man's fighting too. Like you can hear it, it's like, wow, it sounds just like, you know, Batman Arkham, but it's not bad, it's a good thing.
No, being a clone in this case is not a bad thing. It helps it, if nothing else.
No, absolutely, you know, especially because we all love the story of the Arkham games. Like, same here, a lot of people are like, you know, man, that should be a movie, you know, it's great, you know, it looks amazing. But I was very, very impressed with how they did it, because obviously I do love Spider-Man, and I've played some of the other games, you know, for PS2, PS1, but they never really hooked me. It was almost like, you know, kind of a cash grab. They released the game right when the movies would come out, like Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man also. So you never really had that game that you felt they put a lot of effort into that was worth your money. But this was.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I was surprised.
I mean, it wasn't one of those rushed ones that tied into a movie release that you're talking about. I mean, it's like, oh, it has to be out by this date, and so we have to get it out here. It doesn't matter what graphic bugs or anything else. Anything else, just throw the story together, you know, just make it so you get from point A to point B, you know. But this definitely open world, more open-ended, and everything else.
Oh yeah, no, and I was excited to get my hand on it. It just really struck me because I wasn't really too sure of what to expect. But it did so well, you know, with the gameplay, you know, the villains, the characters, and, you know, it had a lot of surprises in it. So, like, I was thrilled, you know, when I got my hands on it. Because, I mean, we've been hearing it, you know, for a while now that, you know, you should have a multiplayer in every one of your games. Like, if the single player is your point of the game, then you can make a really good single player. You know, just, you know, keep in mind that, you know, the story is important too. And that's part of the reason why, you know, Spider-Man's been doing so well. Not just because it's a Spider-Man game, but because, you know, the gameplay is familiar, it's great. Obviously, it has some unique features to it that it's Spider-Man. But it just did so well. So it was hooking. Honestly, I've enjoyed every second of playing. And I hope this creates kind of a crescendo. You get more characters.
Yeah. If we get a trilogy with this like we did with Arkham, I'll be very happy.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
So, should we kiss now? Yeah, maybe later.
When we look back at previous installments of the Spider-Man video game franchise, none of them had as much development time put into them as this one. The others mostly dropped when the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield movies dropped. This game is not those, not even close. Gameplay, check. Great story, check. Replay value, check. What are some aspects of Marvel's Spider-Man that stood out to you?
I think one of the first ones, I mean, from the very get-go, as soon as you turn on that game and start, just being able to swing around the city. Just how fluid and everything that traversal through the city is, the mechanics of how you can swing, you can kind of zip across things, and everything else. I think just the movement through the city, I think, is one of the biggest things that jumps at you right away as soon as you start.
Yeah, the seamless nature of it too. You know, there's nothing stopping you. It's almost like they were, you know, holding the door right open for you. You know, get in, you know, play this game. And it was so fluid, you know, I can't help but go back to the seamless nature because it felt really good. You know, you have the nice music behind it. Honestly, I felt like I was watching a Marvel movie, you know, but you're the one that's, you know, playing the character and going through it. So, like, it struck out to me. Obviously, I'm just such a huge fan of Arkham that, you know, I always gravitate, you know, to the combat and the different characters and how they're going to tie in. And, you know, it has that hook. And there's so much you can do. Obviously, you know, you have your side missions. There's a lot you can take part to in the game. And I feel like every single one of those elements pretty much stands out and, you know, are a reason to play. We absolutely cannot spoil this game's story for you guys. Video games that thrive on their immersive story and incredibly satisfying gameplay deserve to be played. Marvel's Spider-Man is no exception. Spider-Man is an action-adventure game that takes place in the open world of New York City, and you play as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from a third-person perspective. Missions, side quests, they're all here. The story is this game's selling point. You're kind of thrown right in the middle of things when you begin, but what elements of the story, like, kind of hooked you? Like, was it the characters, the villains, kind of Peter's journey? Like, what things struck you when you were playing it?
The fact that we don't have to go through an origin story again is a very big point to me. Most everybody that's going to be buying a Spider-Man game knows who Spider-Man is. As you've mentioned, we've gone through Tobey Maguire, we've gone through Garfield, we've gone through all these origin stories. We don't need another one. So the fact that we are thrown into Spider-Man 8 years into his career, you know, is a nice change of pace. He's already established his, you know, repertoire with the NYPD. He's already got his relationship with Mary Jane and other people developed and started. Some of these, we don't have to go through an origin story for all these villains again. No, you know, without spoilers, we still get a little bit of that from some people in it. But for the most part, a lot of these other characters are established. They're already in his rogues gallery. So we already go in knowing these characters, and there's history there. That comes out in the story. You know, he's yelling at this villain, you just got out of prison, why are you doing this again? You know, and quips and everything about Spider-Man style, about the last time they had a fight and stuff like that. No, we don't do it in game, but it gives that depth to the story and everything else, knowing that there's all that history between these characters that's already existed.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I was happy because the moment, you know, you start playing, you know, you jump right in. Just like, even though you're thrown right into the middle of it, you're like, oh, thank God, I don't gotta, okay, who's Peter Parker? Who's the organization that's gonna turn him into Spider-Man?
We don't have to hear about Uncle Ben again.
Who's Mary Jane? Okay, where's my, Uncle Ben scene? So that was great, you know, and I think that's one of the parts people really gravitated to as well, is that you're not waiting to get to the good stuff. It starts literally no holds barred right when you start the game. So yeah, no, it's a really, really great point you make. And obviously there are times when there's nothing wrong with using the formula, introducing a character, but Spider-Man's been around for years, you know, since early 2000. So yeah, no, no fear, just jump right in. Now, for those who don't know, I'm an action genre lover. Whether it's movies, TV shows, or video games, that's a key thing that I always hone in on, and it gets me amped. I love the action in Spider-Man. The fight sequences with the villains you're fighting are just insane. I don't remember myself getting this excited since the Batman Arkham trilogy, but they are so similar gameplay-wise. Did you feel the same way, you know, as in your experience when it comes to the Arkham games, or did you kind of like differ a little bit?
I mean, there's definitely some difference with the fighting mechanics and everything. Spider-Man is a lot more about dodging and everything than Batman was a little bit, but it's still a lot of the same mechanics and everything with the combos and stuff like that. So I did like with the boss battles too, that I don't think any boss battle was the same as the other one.
Yeah.
So they all had a little bit different. I mean, you got the one going in the video clip behind us and everything with Shocker. And then you have another one that's similar, but there's not as much swinging. There's one that you are swinging the entire time and everything else. So I think they did a really good job of mixing up the types of different combats too with the boss battles.
Yeah. Even though I liked Arkham, like that was one notch that I actually give it a notch down because it felt sometimes really, really similar to the previous boss battle. I mean, at the beginning, you know, you had Kingpin. So that was really cool to, you know, see that, oh yeah, no, he's strong, and that kind of makes sense.
And helped establish your general combos and everything too early in the game.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, you know, you had that, not so, obviously the villains are different, and that's good. That's a really, really good thing. So the experience is never really going to be the same. It's not going to feel like, oh, this is the same thing. Just insert this mini boss before you get to a big one kind of thing. And I noticed that, especially in the Arkham games, that I mean, I was doing a lot of gliding. Obviously in here, you know, you're doing a lot of swinging. So that does differentiate, especially with the movement, but it adds a new dimension, especially for the Arkham, because he had his Batmobile. With this, you know, you can kind of climb on walls, that kind of thing. You know, they each can perk down. See, you notice those similarities, but they're just so rich in their essence that you don't really hold it against one another. You know, I mean, ScrewAttack even did a death battle where Batman and Spider-Man were fighting each other. So I kept thinking about that also. And it just, the elements that this game shows, I feel like are just a little bit more refined than the Batman series. Because, I mean, this is the next one, superhero game on the market that's caught a lot of hype. You know, what would you say stands out to you the most? You mentioned, would you say the gliding did it for you?
For Spider-Man?
Swinging, I meant.
Swinging for
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and definitely the fluid just nature of how moving around the city. I felt that was a lot better compared to like Arkham moving around the city. It just seemed to be much smoother and everything. And of course, you know, we're several years after the Arkham game, we you know, improving on that kind of thing. So.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Well, you will have a blast with the main storyline as you come across different characters, unlock new abilities, and encounter various adversaries. The game's side missions are a little lackluster. During side missions, you'll occasionally find yourself hacking a police tower to open areas of the city, picking up collectibles, and saving random citizens. It makes sense to have those things in an open world game, but sometimes they can either hinder or enhance your experience. I fall on more the tedious end of the spectrum, but what about you when it comes to the game side missions?
No, I do think we are suffering from that open world thing of busy work and everything else. Go find this collectible, do this fetch quest. We were chasing pigeons around the city. I mean, it's fun the first time, maybe 2 or 3 pigeons, but by the time I've gotten 15, I'm done. You know, so again, it had, you know, there's some fun ones, and again, but after you've done them 3 or 4 times, it's like
Or 20.
you want to move on to something different,
Yeah.
but you know if you're going to do 100% on this game, you're going to have to go back and do them.
Oh, I remember. I remember 100% because I platinumed Arkham Knight, and I remember having to find all of the Riddler's little riddles around, and I found, I'd say, I mean, a little over 10 of the backpacks, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. It feels like a job, man.
Now, I'll admit, as I said, going through the city, moving around, makes it a little bit more palatable and everything to do some of these. But again, this is probably if we talk about negatives this game has, and it doesn't have a lot and everything, but that would definitely be one of them. It's the whole open world, just tedium.
Yeah, no,
Comes
absolutely.
with that kind of game style.
And it can kind of wear you out sometimes because I mean, we've all tried that. Like, hey, let me go hack a police tower, which you can also hack things in Batman. Let me go hack. Let me go find a backpack. All right, now I need to hit something. Let me go fight, and then it kind of you start recycling it in a given way where it does get, you know, a little bit tiring. But I mean, it's almost like, how do you fix that? So it's hard for me to ding it too much because you need, being in this open world, you need things to do. So I enjoy that they have it, but I just feel it doesn't really change the tedious nature of it. But I guess, you know, in the future that, you know, maybe that could change. I'm not really too sure what you could add. I mean, obviously there's DLC, you know, for Spider-Man to help, you know, extend its life cycle.
Yeah, but even the DLC suffers from some of that too, because you're paying for a season pass. Here again, the other one problem I'll probably say with the game, we have the season pass thing again.
Yeah.
But we still have to pad it out because you want people to pay $20, $30. The story element of it's good, but you're not going to be paying that amount of money for only those 2-3 hours of story.
Yeah.
So we need to pad it out with more fetch quests, more go run here and do this side thing.
Before you get to the boss, you got to complete these objectives kind of thing too. Yeah, I've noticed that. Was same thing with the Batman Arkham trilogy. But I mean, I feel these are definitely improvements that, you know, like can happen like in the future, even though they are kind of hairy right now, and you kind of, unless you're a trophy hunter, then you'll probably be like, yeah, I'm about to do all the side quests before I get to the main story kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, if not, then you'll kind of let it zip by you and, you know, focus on the main story because the story is just, it's super addicting. You know, like I was super ecstatic when I got to play as Mary Jane because I did not see that coming. Because I thought it was only Spider-Man. I mean, you got to play a couple other characters in the Arkham trilogy, so I guess I should have expected it, but I was thinking so much about the previous Spider-Man games that I kind of went in with my expectations not too high. Like I kind of had low expectations, but you know they kind of managed to exceed them. Like, would you say the same way for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the again, I don't want to do any spoilers.
Of course,
you know,
yeah.
We've got Mary Jane. There are a few things where you come out of that play as her, and everything else is kind of palate cleanse after a big boss fight. Some other stuff. Some people may or may not find that a bit, you know, pulling them out of the immersive thing of Spider-Man. It's like, I want to play Spider-Man. I want to swing around the city more. I'd rather go do a side quest to stay as Spider-Man than do this other thing as another character. Because you get the little creepy stealth mission thing, and that's really the only thing that they're able to do. They don't have superpowers and everything else. So
makes sense.
Some people liked it, some people didn't. And again, that may or may not change your opinion of the game. But there are only a few of those times where it pulls you out of the Spider-Man thing. So I think even if you don't like it, it's palatable enough to get through it.
Yeah, I can agree. Overall, Marvel Spider-Man is a clear win for Sony and superhero gamer fans alike. You have to go and pick this game up right now. It's worth every penny. I just wish every iconic Marvel and DC superhero could have their own video game like this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this game?
I'll probably be a little more... Okay, so I'm going to be a little more tough on this game just because of what it is and everything else. And I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
And again, I'll explain for that. One, as we talked about, you're going to be suffering some open world tedium. Same thing that any open world game, and I think that's going to knock it down a little bit for me. It's a fun game. This would still be in my top 3 of the year. Don't get me wrong with that 8 out of 10 score, but I have to look at it from mechanics and everything else. The other thing is, you're going into buying DLC if you want the full experience again.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that need. I think we could have left the game in the oven for another 2-3 months, gotten this DLC as part of the actual game kind of thing. So if you want the full experience, you're going to have to do that, or you're going to have to wait a little bit longer to do that purchase and get the amazing edition, the spectacular edition, whatever game of the year.
Game of the year Spider-Man edition.
Whatever abbreviation they want to put on it when the DLC all is out and it comes with the game.
Yeah, actually, I'm right there with you. 8 out of 10. There's a lot of things about this game that make it stand out and that make you want to keep playing. Obviously, the story is a huge selling point, but with the tedious side missions that do play pretty much a huge role, especially if you want to upgrading, like get new abilities, they can kind of be a little bit of a hindrance to you. So I'm right there when it comes to an 8 out of 10. I think that's exactly what this game deserves.
I mean, if we want to put little points in there, 8.5. But it's not quite the 9 because of some of the extra stuff.
Yeah, exactly. When it, especially when it comes to a 9, that means you have way more enjoyment than you do like tedious missions, that kind of thing. I mean, there's a reason that, because I was talking with a friend of mine earlier, I thought Spider-Man was going to win Game of the Year. I actually gave it more to God of War because those missions actually meant something. They were a core part of the story. You had a couple side missions, but they still played a way more pivotal role of what you can expect in the next game. Here, you're given a couple, like Easter eggs, that kind of thing, but it for what it was, it worked.
Still top 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Saved by the siren.
Talk to you later.
Go.
Love seeing you two together again. You always were my favorites.
Much appreciation for coming back on the show, Steve.
It's always fun to be here.
Oh yeah, glad to have you. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in with us today. I wasn't feeling so good walking out of Avengers Infinity War, but I did feel very good playing Marvel Spider-Man. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all on the next episode of Versus Gaming.
Bye.
We own the cops.
Break that something, Fritz.